a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is Mitu.
And my name is BJ.
And this week, we're watching the listener-recommended Goosebumps, The Vanishing on Disney+.
So stay tuned to find out how Mitu handles paranormal mysteries.
Not well. Sorry, spoiler alert.
You can go into more detail at the end of this episode.
Until then, why don't you tell us what happened in this spooky ooky show?
Sure. This series is based off of the R.L. Stine book series of the same name and follows a serialized anthology style where each season is a different story. This season, we're following twins Cece and Devin, played by Jaden Bartels and Sam McCarthy, who decide to enter an abandoned and supposedly haunted fort with a few friends. And without realizing it, they set off a chain of events that will unravel a profound mystery connected to the disappearance of 4 teenagers 30 years back. So, Mitu, what were your first impressions?
It was very scary, and it reminded me why I could not read the Goosebumps books when I was a kid.
That's surprising and not surprising.
The covers were so cool. I wanted to read them so badly every time I attempted one of those books, and I would finish them because I am a completionist to a very bad extent. I would see them through, read them, and then just be scared for a long time after.
Wow, this is some childhood trauma we should unpack another time. I will say this reminds me of the scariness from the Nickelodeon Goosebumps series.
Mm-hmm.
You get some creepy scenes, there's some jump scares, a lot of things in the dark.
A lot of things bleeding from eyes.
Yeah, grabbing you unexpectedly.
Oof.
And I think they successfully made this feel kind of like a horror mystery.
It was excessively scary, where if you're a baby like I am, you were scared. But I think a lot of people could watch this with their older kids and be okay.
Yes, this isn't creepy clown murderer scary.
Yeah.
This is more spooky things in the dark coming after you scary.
Yes, or for Cece, it's the fear of being surrounded by incompetent people.
Let's talk about these twins.
Okay.
We have a smart, forward-thinking, educated, but also slight rebel in Cece.
Yes, a debate camp diva.
And we have a fighter, independent thinker, someone who just wants to chill and not do too much in Devin.
Someone who is maybe 10 years behind on lingo, which is an interesting character trait to write into a teen.
He's trying to bring back language so he can be a trendsetter.
Yes, that's true. Everything comes back around, and so he is desperate to have that happen. So that's why he told his dad he's cool, no L at the end, and why he described an outdoor party with friends as bussin'.
I think he used it twice in one sentence.
Yeah, he really leaned in, which is tough. I think we've all been there where you say something embarrassing and it's like, do I double down or do I pretend this never happened? Always pretend it never happened. Unfortunately, he doubled down.
Pro tip for me too. Deny, deny, deny.
If people are looking at you the way those kids were looking at Devin, you just stop and reset.
He's got a tough time. He does have a childhood crush, so he's trying to impress someone. We do find out his crush is dating the neighbor across the street, so there's some tension, and this is what sets everything off, because that mean person using a driveway that doesn't belong to him dared Devin to enter the scary fort where, mild spoiler, where his uncle went missing and is presumed to be dead.
What is wild to me is that how is your teenage neighbor bullying both you and your father?
That's true.
How is he efficiently bullying multi-generations of this home to devastating consequences?
Joe Jr. at, I think, 17 has a lot of power.
A lot of power in one teenaged person. But it does set forward this mystery, and it kind of exposes these dynamics that I think we're going to see even more of, where Cece has it together a bit more, as you've shared, but is a bit rebellious, so has that cool streak. Devin is still kind of finding himself, and it seems like their father and his brother were at a similar place, where it seemed like their dad, Anthony, was a little bit more like Devin, and his missing brother, Maddie, was a little bit more like Cece.
Which is interesting because now as an adult, Anthony, I feel, channels a little more Cece, where he's like, let me get everything prepared in order, under control. I'm sure a lot of that is from the trauma of losing a brother as a teenager and now being overprotective of his children.
I think that'll be interesting to watch because it also seems like he's getting to know his kids post-divorce in a different way, having them live with him. It seems like their primary parent is their mom, or at least the one that they live with more often or for more of the year. And so we're for sure going to watch these three people fight ghosts or whatever is going bump in the night in this story. And then within that, of course, will surface some like internal conflicts within this group that I think will be interesting to watch, because I think they have that down of like this awkward family trying to get to know each other dynamic. I saw some review that said that in the pilot, David Schwimmer didn't have a great chemistry with the kids, but to me, it felt like he wasn't supposed to. They're supposed to be awkward around each other.
It didn't stand out to me as particularly bad. I think similar to you, just a father who's a little disconnected.
Yeah.
But they still felt like a family unit.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe that reviewer just doesn't know a disconnected family, but I think they played that pretty well. And I like the dynamic of having the friends around because that'll be an interesting way to expand Devin and Cece's personalities.
Yeah, they have their own friend group, so we can have the teenage side of the story. And as you were saying, with this family taking on a mystery together, I'm curious how long it will take for Anthony and then Cece and Devin to share with each other what they know, because they're all keeping secrets from each other right now related to what happened in that haunted fort.
That's true. And Devin and Cece have their friends, and Anthony has Jen, played by the perfect Anna Ortiz, who is a cop in the neighborhood and seems to be connected to this mystery as well, the 30-year-old mystery.
And we also meet the grandmother, who is in a nursing home right now, but probably knows something as well.
That's true. Man, we just need everyone together, a whiteboard, a little bit of a can-do attitude, some takeout. Let's get it all out and then chronologically solve this thing.
And this will be a real test for this series. Will it be one of those stories where the main characters withhold crucial information from each other for too long? Or can they just come together and solve this thing? There is a threat out there.
That's true. And it is trying to get at Devin every which way, specifically.
He needs help from anybody.
Somebody needs to intervene. Anyone, just anyone in that town. Someone watch Devin, because right now he's not being watched.
Are you going to keep watching Devin on more episodes of Goosebumps, The Vanishing?
I will. I will watch again casually. It's a little too scary for me, but I think my main issue and what's keeping me from saying I would watch again seriously versus casually is I wish they introduced more of the mystery in this pilot episode. It's definitely intriguing. Like you said, there's a lot of suspense, a lot of like anticipating scary things happening, but I wish we had just a little bit more revealed about the brother's disappearance or a little bit more information about what's going on. I'm not saying solve it for me, but just bring me along a bit further. So I think that's the thing keeping me from saying I would watch again seriously.
I feel similarly. I would rate this at would watch again casually. I am interested in the mystery, and I really like Cece and Devin as our leads to this story. But I don't know if I got enough to get me seriously excited about the series.
True. And you pointed out that this appeared to be maybe a 2-part pilot, but you got to be able to do it in 45 minutes.
Exactly. Based on the naming of the first 2 episodes, it seems to be a 2-part intro, but that's asking an hour and a half to set up this story when they should be able to do it all in 1 episode.
Okay, this is a light spoiler for our listeners. You're a scientist.
Yes.
Tell me about your feelings about how Anthony approached, without giving away too much, a scientific issue, let's say.
Right. Anthony has a sealed bag of something old, and he is supposed to be a botanist in this story with his own lab set up in his basement, and proceeds to open the bag, touch the content of the bag
with his hands.
With his bare hands, put his face really close to it. He basically scrapes up dust into the air.
Yeah.
No mask, no goggles, no gloves. Very strange, unusual scientific practices.
A very no shirt, no shoes, no problem approach to a scary, unknown 30-year-old substance. And what blew me in that scene, and we will not give away what happens, is that what it looked like at the very least was mold. Like just a moldy spore on an old 30-year-old cloth. I have not taken a science class, a real one, probably since high school. Because I took the science classes that you need to graduate college when I was in college. I took like rocks for jocks.
Yep.
So with however many years between me and high school, I okay. Woo, didn't know we were on the attack. But all that said, all of that hateration aside in this dancery, I don't know that I would have gone face first into mold.
I think that's a good reaction. Stick with that. Hold on to that. Safety precautions are good.
That looked wild to me as just an absolute layperson in science. So I wonder how that looked to you as someone who has held beakers not just for a Halloween costume.
It was especially wild because in his lab setup, he has a very nice microscope. We're talking one that would be tens of thousands of dollars.
And a petri dish situation.
He has all the
equipment. He had gear around, it seemed like. But he just chose not to put it on?
Yeah, I bet he has a lab coat, goggles, gloves.
Yeah.
At least wear a mask. This is set in 2024. Everyone has some masks laying around.
Not Anthony.
No, he's an anti-masker.
Can you imagine if that's the conclusion of the story? The scariest thing of all.
Oh, well, Mitu, let our listeners know, how do you approach paranormal mysteries?
I typically don't approach paranormal mysteries, but if and when I'm made to watch them by our listeners, by you, I just have a blanket and then I cover my head when things get dicey.
Oh, I like that. I meant like you were in the story of like Goosebumps, but I like your answer.
Oh, like if I were I would not be in the story of Goosebumps because I would have never gone in that tunnel. I never would have been with those kids in the night. Even when I was a kid, I'm saying just like the teenage version of me would not have hung out in that way, in that place. You. So I would have been at debate camp. If I were an extra in this show, in this story, Cece would have been at debate camp and you would have just seen me in the background of one of the shots, like taking notes.
What if it was your twin that was dared to go to the tunnel? Would you go with them?
I see. I'm not a twin, so I wouldn't know.
Well, if you want to hear more thoughts and opinions on TV shows or how we approach mysteries, head to our website at thepilotpodcast.com, and you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on social media at The Pilot Pod, and you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, because every other week, just like this one, we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.